Welcome to Sleepy Science. You have seen a shooting star before, but you did not see what actually happened. What you saw was not a star, it was not fire, and it was not meant to be seen at all. That thin line of light lasted less than a second, but it ended a journey that took longer than human history, something older than cities, older than memory. It reached Earth and was erased by the sky itself. This happens more often than you think. Most of it happens unseen, above sleeping oceans, above empty land. The night sky is not quiet, it is busy, and the strange part is this. The light you remember was not the object, it was the air breaking around it. Tonight you are going to hear the most relaxing facts about shooting stars, facts that make the sky feel closer, and time feel thinner. Stay with me until the end. And subscribe so the night never feels empty again. When people say the word shooting star, the name already tells a lie. A star feels far away. It feels calm and fixed. Something that has always been there, something safe. But what you see in the sky during that brief flash is not a star at all. It is not sitting far away in space. It is not peaceful, and it is not waiting for you to notice it. That light appears much closer than your mind expects. It happens high above the ground, but still inside the space that belongs to Earth. It is closer than the moon, closer than satellites, closer than most things you imagine when you think about space. The sky is not an empty blanket stretched over the planet. It is a moving layer, a place where things constantly arrive and disappear. The name shooting star makes it sound gentle, like something sliding softly across the night. But the truth is sharper. Something is falling fast, faster than anything made by humans, faster than sound, faster than thought. It crosses the sky in less time than it takes to breathe in. Your eyes try to turn it into something familiar, a star, a wish, a sign. That makes it feel safe. But the moment you accept what it really is, the feeling changes. It is not light coming toward you from deep space. It is matter colliding with the air above your head. The sky looks quiet when you stare at it, dark, still, calm, but that calm is an illusion. Above you the air is layered and thick, invisible yet heavy, and that air is doing constant work. It slows things down, it destroys things. It protects the ground without asking permission or attention. A shooting star only exists because something entered that air at the wrong angle, at the wrong time. It did not aim for Earth. It did not choose this moment. It simply crossed paths with the planet and the planet responded. What you see is not a visitor waving hello. It is an object being stopped. The sky does not look crowded, but it is. It is filled with motion you cannot see. Small pieces of stone, dust, fragments left behind by older events. They pass by Earth all the time, most miss. Some get close, and some collide with the atmosphere and vanish. You are not watching the sky light up. You are watching the sky defend itself. That thin line of light is the result of speed meeting resistance. The object does not slowly warm up. There is no gentle burn. The air becomes solid for a brief moment. Pressure rises instantly. Energy has nowhere to go. Light escapes instead. The word star hides all of this. It makes the event feel distant and poetic, but distance is the opposite of what is happening. This is closeness. This is contact. When something happens far away, it feels safe. When it happens close, your body reacts differently, even if your mind does not notice. Shooting stars feel peaceful only because you do not sense the danger. The air absorbs it all before it reaches you. The sky above you is doing something important every night. It stops what space throws at it. It breaks things apart quietly. It erases objects that traveled for longer than humans have existed. And it does this without light most of the time, without sound, without proof. The flashes you notice are just the moments when the process becomes visible. Most of the time, the sky works in silence. People often think the night sky is empty space with lights stuck in it. But space does not start where the stars are. Space is already here. You live at the edge of it, and that edge is active. Every shooting star is proof that the border between Earth and space is thin. Not a wall, not a barrier, just layers of air doing their job. The word shooting also feels harmless, like a toy moving across the sky. But nothing about the event is slow or playful. The speed is violent, the stop is sudden, the end is complete. There is no second chance for the object, no turning back, no landing. It arrives and is erased almost instantly. And yet from the ground it looks soft, beautiful, brief. That contrast is what makes it unsettling. Your senses are calm while destruction happens above you. The event feels safe only because it fails before it reaches you. The sky catches it every time, but the fact that something needed to be caught at all changes how the night should feel. The sky is not a distant roof. It is a working system. It is active. It is crowded. It is busy doing things you do not notice. Shooting stars are reminders that Earth is not isolated. The planet moves through space. Space moves past the planet, and sometimes the paths cross. When people look up and relax, they think they are looking into stillness. But stillness is only what remains after motion is hidden. The next time a shooting star appears, it will look gentle again. It will last a second. It will feel harmless. But behind that soft light is speed, pressure, and an ending that happened instantly. The name will still lie to you. It will still call it a star, and your mind will still accept that story. But the sky above you will continue doing what it always does, catching what falls, breaking what comes too close, staying busy while the ground sleeps, and the idea of safety above you will never be as simple as it once felt. Far above your head, the things you see as shooting stars have a history far older than anything you know. They were born long before cities existed, long before rivers carved valleys or mountains rose. Some of them came from explosions that happened when the solar system was new. Pieces of rock and metal torn from comets, asteroids, or even shattered planets. They float through space without thought, without care, without knowing there is anything to see. These fragments have no destination. They do not aim for Earth. They do not plan to pass your window at night. They are leftovers from events so vast that even imagining them feels impossible. A single flash in the sky is the result of millions of years of motion. A piece of stone may have started in a place no human will ever see. It may have circled the sun hundreds of times, passing planets and moons, untouched by anything alive. Time for these objects is not the same as time for us. Millions of years pass as if nothing changes. A rock left over from an ancient collision does not notice the years. It does not slow down or age the way we think of aging. It moves along its path because of gravity and momentum, because of the rules of the universe, not because it wants to go anywhere. It carries with it a history that would make your mind dizzy if you tried to imagine it. Every object that becomes a shooting star has a story written in its atoms. Each scar, each tiny crack, is a mark from a time before humans existed. The rocks do not remember, but the evidence is still there. Space itself holds the memory of the collisions that created them. And when one of these fragments meets Earth's atmosphere, it becomes part of another story, one that is brief, bright, and gone. Most fragments never reach Earth. They pass far above the ground and continue on unnoticed. Many pass during the day when nobody can see them. Some fall over empty oceans, over deserts, over frozen tundra. Only a tiny fraction intersect with your life. And even then, it is an accident. Earth is not a magnet for them. It is just moving through the same paths that these objects have been following for millions of years. Paths laid out by chance, by gravity, by nothing but motion. The objects are older than memory, older than human history. They existed long before anyone could name the stars. They existed before the Earth even had life. And in their journey, they have witnessed things we cannot imagine. A collision in space, the heat of a young sun, the pull of giant planets, the destruction of worlds. And yet they continue silent, unnoticed, until they cross paths with us. When one finally reaches the point where it enters our sky, it is not aware of the event. It does not know it is about to shine. It does not know that someone below will glance up and see a line of light. The object does not act. The light is not a signal. It is a reaction caused by contact with the atmosphere. And yet, for a brief moment, the history of the fragment becomes visible. It is like seeing a memory flicker into life, if only for a second. Each fragment is different. Some are tiny, smaller than a grain of sand. Some are larger, chunks that might survive the trip to the ground. Their paths through space were not chosen. They were set by forces far bigger than themselves. And yet they arrive at the same crossing point again and again, the layer of air surrounding Earth. Earth is an accidental meeting place. The planet does not attract these fragments intentionally. It does not call them home. They do not aim for it. And yet, as Earth orbits the Sun, as it spins, as it moves through the invisible trails of space debris, intersections happen. These encounters are moments where the vastness of space touches a single point on the planet, a point where someone might notice, or no one might. Either way, the fragment continues the story it has been following for millions of years. It is strange to think that while people sleep, these objects are constantly passing above, waiting only for the chance to meet the atmosphere. They do not slow down, they do not hesitate, and they do not care whether anyone is watching. Their existence is independent of life, of observation, of meaning. Even the concept of size becomes misleading when you think about them. A tiny rock can create the same brief, bright flash as a much larger one, because it is not size alone that matters. It is speed. It is angle. It is the sudden collision with the invisible air that makes the sky light up. And in that light, you are glimpsing something that traveled longer than you can imagine, from a place you will never know. The fragments are like travelers who have no memory, no awareness, and no destination. They are older than our calendars, older than our cities, older than the mountains themselves. Yet they continue their paths, moving silently through the dark spaces between worlds until they meet the one accidental crossing point, Earth. Every shooting star is a meeting of chance and time. A flash of something ancient intersecting with a planet that is alive with people who watch, wonder, or sleep. And that meeting lasts only a moment. The object burns briefly in the sky, and then it is gone, continuing on as dust, melted, or reduced to particles that never reach the ground. Its journey does not end because someone saw it. It does not pause because of meaning or observation. It simply continues, following the path it has been on for millions of years. That is why shooting stars feel mysterious. They are not random. They are not created to amaze or inspire. They are just objects following the paths set by gravity and time. But for a few seconds, you intersect with them. You witness a fragment of a journey older than anything you know. And for that moment, the history of the universe flashes across your sky. The idea that these objects are older than memory changes how you see the night. The stars above are not the only things that have existed for eons. Space is filled with debris, with travelers whose journeys dwarf anything humanity has ever done. They have been moving long before humans noticed the sky. They have traveled through empty space for millions of years. And yet, when Earth moves into their path, they make themselves known in a single line of light. Every flash of a shooting star is a reminder that the universe is alive with motion. that what you see is only a fragment of reality, that objects older than memory are still passing through, still crossing paths, and still reaching Earth by accident. And as you lie beneath the night sky, it is humbling to know that every shooting star you see is not a visitor. It is a fragment of history, a traveler older than your planet, older than your species, older than anything you can remember. And it arrived here purely by chance, intersecting with Earth at this moment in this place for you to notice or not. The sky is full of these travelers, invisible most of the time, waiting, moving, following paths that will never end until the universe itself changes. And when one finally crosses into view, you are seeing the result of millions of years of silent motion, a fleeting glimpse of something timeless, something older than memory. Earth is not special to them. It is not a target. It is simply one more point along a long journey. And in that collision of paths, something magical appears, the brief, bright line we call a shooting star. A moment of light that carries the weight of history, the speed of space, and the story of a fragment that has traveled longer than humans have ever walked the planet. And in that brief flash, you realize how small and temporary everything seems, how fragile our perception is, how much exists beyond what we can ever truly know, but also how close it all comes, just for a moment, to touch our eyes, to surprise us, and to remind us that the universe is far older, far larger, and far stranger than we can imagine. Space is quiet, endless, cold, and yet something moves through it faster than you can imagine. A fragment from the edge of the solar system, older than the Earth itself, hurtles toward our planet. It has no awareness, no feeling, no intention. Speed is all it has, or rather, speed is all it experiences. There is no wind, no friction, no resistance. It moves in a vacuum where nothing slows it down. For millions of years, it has traveled at unimaginable velocities. The numbers are impossible for the human mind to fully grasp. Some shooting stars enter our atmosphere at tens of kilometers per second. That is faster than a bullet, faster than the fastest car ever built, faster than the sound you hear when lightning strikes. And yet the object itself does not sense this. It has no brain, no nerves, no awareness of danger. It moves because it must, because the rules of the universe demand it. It exists in motion. Motion is all it knows. When it reaches the top of our atmosphere, everything changes in an instant. The air is no longer empty. It is dense. It presses against the object with a force the object cannot resist. Heat appears immediately, not from fire, but from friction and compression. The fragment goes from near absolute zero in the vacuum of space to thousands of degrees in a fraction of a second. Cold becomes destruction before the mind has time to process. There is no warning, no sensation. The object cannot slow down. It cannot stop. It cannot understand what is happening. It is too fast for anything it knows to exist. And yet, to our eyes, it becomes a beautiful line of light. That single streak across the sky is the product of instant violence. It is speed made visible, compressed into a moment we can almost catch but never fully understand. We think we see a shooting star, but what we are really seeing is the result of forces far greater than ourselves. Air, speed, pressure, and light combine in an invisible equation, and the object itself experiences none of it. It does not feel the heat. It does not notice the pressure. It has no memory of crossing space for millions of years. It is simply in motion, and the universe reacts around it. Time for the object is meaningless. One moment it is cold and silent in space. The next it is glowing brightly, surrounded by forces it cannot perceive. The transition is instant, from calm to chaos, from quiet to brilliance, from nothing to everything in the blink of an eye. And for those of us watching from the ground, it looks effortless, it looks graceful. but it is violent, it is extreme. It is the universe in action, hidden behind beauty. Most shooting stars never reach the ground. They are consumed in the atmosphere before impact. The speed ensures that even a small fragment will burn entirely. Even something larger than a pebble will explode, not like fireworks, but like matter being erased. It is a disappearance that is complete. The object does not survive. Its journey does not pause. It is over in a flash, leaving only light and motion as evidence. And yet, we do not think about this when we make wishes. When we watch the line of fire across the sky, we call it magical. We call it peaceful. We say it is fleeting and beautiful. We ignore the fact that this beauty is the result of immense speed, immense pressure, and a forceful end. The object never notices. It has no experience of its own demise. All it knows is motion, and motion is relentless. The way it moves through the atmosphere is like a story happening too fast for the eye to catch every word. Heat radiates instantly. The air bends around it. Molecules tear themselves apart to make room for its path. Light is emitted, yes, but it is the byproduct of destruction, not creation. The object itself remains unaware. It does not know it is glowing. It does not know it is dying. It cannot. Speed leaves no room for perception. There is no gradual transition, no slow burning, no warning bells. In a fraction of a second, the fragment crosses tens of kilometers of atmosphere. Coldness becomes heat. Silence becomes a flash. Matter becomes light. And then it is gone. Sometimes, if the object is tiny, there is barely a streak at all. Other times, it leaves a long line across the night, visible to everyone. But always it is brief. Always it ends before impact ever exists. Our brains try to make sense of it. We measure the line. We count the seconds. We say it is a shooting star. But numbers cannot capture the scale. Numbers cannot capture the speed. Numbers cannot make you feel the acceleration. Numbers cannot make you feel the cold turning into fire in less than a heartbeat. It is beyond experience. It is beyond comprehension. And that is why it fascinates us. You could watch hundreds of shooting stars and never understand the scale of speed they carry. You could measure them scientifically and still not feel the forces involved. Our eyes give us beauty. Our minds give us stories. The universe gives us speed and destruction without notice. And those moments intersect perfectly in the sky, for just enough time to be noticed by someone awake below. Even the largest fragments cannot stop themselves. They cannot choose their path. They are bound by gravity and velocity. And when Earth intersects with them, the result is sudden. The object does not know it is about to enter a different world, a thicker world, a world that reacts violently to its presence. It cannot anticipate the sudden change. Its experience is only motion, uninterrupted until the atmosphere interferes. The instant of contact is unimaginable. For the object, it is the difference between a frozen void and heat beyond comprehension. It is the difference between silence and brightness. Yet, it experiences none of it. Speed is all that exists to it, and speed carries it across the sky, leaving a trail we can see but it cannot. A trail that is the only evidence of its existence. Most people will never think about this when they see a shooting star. They see beauty. They see magic. They see calm. They do not see speed without experience. They do not see the collision between a stone and an atmosphere. They do not see the instant where cold becomes destruction. But that is the reality of what happens. That is the truth behind every flash in the night sky. And that is why every shooting star feels mysterious. Because the object that creates it does not experience its own brilliance. Because it crosses the sky without awareness. Because it arrives at the perfect moment, lights up and vanishes. Because speed is hidden in beauty and our eyes are given the result without the reality. The mind can imagine slow motion. It can imagine travel, it can imagine heat, but it cannot imagine the speed and the instant transformation of matter that a shooting star experiences. There is no warning, there is no process for it. There is only motion and the reaction of the world around it. And in that instant, we witness something our senses can enjoy but cannot comprehend fully. The speed is relentless. The atmosphere is unyielding. And yet, the object does not notice. It passes through destruction without thought. Its path does not change because of what it encounters. It cannot adjust. It cannot feel. And still, it creates light for us to see. Every time you watch a shooting star, remember this. It did not slow down for you. It did not aim to impress you. It did not wish to appear in your sky. It moved with a velocity that the human brain cannot feel. It transformed instantly from cold to destruction. And by the time your eyes saw it, the event was already over. Impact never truly existed for it. It is both violent and beautiful, invisible and undeniable, silent and brilliant. And it is happening all the time, all above us, whether we notice it or not. The speed of these fragments and their complete lack of awareness is what makes them extraordinary, and it is what gives every shooting star its fleeting, hypnotic mystery. The moment a shooting star enters the atmosphere, everything changes. It is no longer alone in space. It suddenly meets air, the invisible layer that surrounds Earth. And that air is not soft, it is not gentle, it is dense, unyielding, and violent. The object moving through it does not notice. It cannot. The air presses against it with a force that grows instantly, with no warning, with no chance to slow down. The light we see in the sky is not from the object itself. It is not the stone burning. It is the air reacting. The sky is the one doing the damage. The object only passes through, carrying its history and speed. The air crushes, melts, and transforms it. Energy is released in a flash that our eyes catch as a bright streak, and all of it happens without sound reaching the ground. The sky performs this act silently, every night, over and over, without recognition. Air is not nothing. It is a dense field of molecules packed close together, pressing against anything that moves too fast. For most objects in space, that air is invisible, irrelevant. But for a shooting star, it is a wall that the object cannot see, cannot feel, cannot avoid. The faster it moves, the more force it encounters. What we call a shooting star is the trace of the sky defending itself. The atmosphere does not pause. It does not hesitate. It does not negotiate. It meets the object head-on with everything it has. Pressure rises instantly. Heat explodes around the fragment. Molecules tear apart, rearrange, and react. The object experiences nothing. No pain. No warning. No choice. Only speed and collision and the reaction of the sky that stops it in its tracks. The process is violent, yet it seems soft to us. That is the strange part. Our brains see beauty. Our eyes see light. Our hearts may feel wonder, but what is actually happening is extreme. Cold space meets dense air. Motion meets resistance. Speed meets pressure. And the sky wins, every time. Even the smallest fragments feel the force. Even a piece no bigger than a pebble is crushed, heated, and transformed before it has a chance to reach the ground. Some explode mid-air. Others evaporate completely. The atmosphere works like a shield, stopping objects that have traveled for millions of years, erasing them in an instant. It is protection that is silent, constant, invisible. The sky does not need to act intentionally. It does not aim to protect. It does not think about consequences. The atmosphere exists. The rules of physics exist. And when a fragment enters, these rules react naturally, perfectly, and without delay. The Earth does not fight for survival. It does not worry about objects in space. It does not notice the collisions except in the smallest ways, when dust or particles reach the surface. And yet that protection is complete. Pressure is the true force. Speed alone cannot destroy an object. Cold alone cannot melt it. But when velocity meets resistance, the combination is sudden and absolute. The air does not warm gradually. It does not push softly. It compresses instantly, sending heat and energy through the fragment at a rate no living thing could survive. And the object is gone. The process does not pause. It does not hesitate. It is total and irreversible. We imagine shooting stars as graceful arcs of light, but that light is not grace. It is the result of violence perfectly captured by our eyes. The object does not glow because it wants to. The glow is the reaction of the sky itself. Every flash is the soundless scream of matter crushed, air pressed, and energy released. And it all happens above our heads, unnoticed by the sleeping world. The sky has layers, thin layers at first, denser layers below. Each layer adds to the force the object must face. At higher altitudes, the pressure grows slowly, but very quickly it becomes extreme. Temperatures rise to thousands of degrees. Molecules collide violently. And still the object cannot stop. It cannot feel. It cannot resist. It is carried along by motion alone, destroyed by the air that surrounds it. Some fragments are so small they are gone before you could even notice. Others create long streaks of light that can last for a few seconds. But no matter the size, the process is the same. The atmosphere absorbs, crushes, and transforms. The object is secondary. The sky is the actor. The sky is the force. The sky is the shield. Think about that. Every shooting star you see is proof that Earth is protected without effort. You did not ask for this. You do not notice it most of the time. You may even think the sky is still, but it is not. It is constantly defending, constantly reacting, constantly alive in a way we cannot feel. And the light we see is only the briefest evidence that it exists. The atmosphere does not forgive. It does not negotiate. It does not slow down. The laws of physics are not flexible. And in this rigid, unfeeling system, every shooting star ends in the same way, reduced to heat, light, or dust, leaving no trace except what we see for a moment. Earth is shielded always. We are protected always. And the sky does it without pause, without recognition, without thought. That is why shooting stars are both mesmerizing and mysterious. They seem soft, quiet, and fleeting. But what you are seeing is actually the sky performing a violent, invisible act. The flash is the result of matter meeting the most powerful shield it will ever encounter. Every streak across the night is evidence that the planet above you is defended perfectly, without effort. And yet, we rarely think about this. We do not notice the true force at work. We only see beauty. We only see magic. We only see a line of light stretching across the dark. We ignore the fact that it is the air itself that is responsible for the destruction. The sky is the hero we cannot see, the protector we do not acknowledge. Even the largest fragments are no match. No matter their size, no matter their age, no matter their speed, the atmosphere wins. Every piece that enters is slowed, crushed, heated, and erased before it reaches the surface. And it happens quietly, perfectly, as it has for millions of years. The next time a shooting star flashes across the sky, remember this. It is not the stone shining. It is not the comet fragment that matters. It is the sky acting. The air around you is alive with force. The atmosphere is a wall that cannot be broken, and without it, Earth would be exposed. Without it, we would notice countless collisions that now happen silently. The sky performs this act without thought, without effort, without intention. And that is what makes it so mysterious. The moment you see light, it is already over. The object is gone. The energy has been absorbed. The force has done its work. And you are safe unknowingly beneath a shield that never fails. We imagine shooting stars as small, delicate, and brief. But they are the result of an invisible war between motion and pressure, speed and air, destruction and protection. And the sky wins every time, every night, over oceans, deserts, cities, and mountains, silent, unseen, but always present. And that is the secret of the shooting star. The beauty you witness is only a side effect. The real story is happening in the air above, where pressure becomes light, density becomes fire, and Earth protects itself without effort, without warning, and without fail. When you see a shooting star streak across the sky, your mind tells you it is burning. You imagine fire, flames, something hot and alive. But that is not what is happening. The object itself is not on fire. The glowing line you see is not the rock burning up. It is something much stranger, much more mysterious. It is the air reacting. The sky itself is glowing. The atmosphere is made of tiny molecules, invisible and endless. When a fragment enters at incredible speed, these molecules are forced to move faster than they should. They collide with each other. They break apart. They get excited. And when atoms get excited, they release energy. That energy bursts out as light. The streak across the sky is not the object. It is the reaction of air. The light belongs to the sky, not the stone. This is why the flash is so brief. The air reacts instantly, then calms again. The object is moving too fast for a gradual process. There is no slow burning, no soft glow, no time to see what is actually happening to the fragment. It is already being destroyed while your eyes follow it. By the time your brain notices, the event is mostly over. Light is only the visible trace of something that has already ended. The idea that the stone is burning is comforting. It makes the event feel alive. It makes it feel like a visitor, like something that wanted to be seen. But the truth is harsher. The object is already being erased. It is crushed by pressure, heated to thousands of degrees, melted and vaporized. The light you see is the echo of that destruction, not the action itself. Energy spills out in the form of photons which travel to your eyes. That is all you see. The air glows because the molecules are excited. The rock does not glow. The rock cannot notice. The process is a reaction, not a performance. The universe does not perform for you. It simply reacts to what is happening. And that reaction, for a tiny moment, appears as a beautiful streak. The color of a shooting star depends on what the air is made of and what the object contains. Different atoms release different energy. Oxygen and nitrogen, the main parts of our air, create the common white or blue light you usually see. Metals in the fragment, like iron or nickel, add red or yellow sparks. But the variations are still the same process: air responding violently to speed and matter. The glow is the signature of interaction, not intention. That is why shooting stars always feel a little unreal. Your eyes catch light that belongs to the air. Your mind calls it magic. You feel awe because something bright flashed across the darkness. But the moment you understand that the object is already gone, that the light is borrowed, the feeling changes. It is beautiful and tragic at the same time. The thing you think is alive is already dead. The sky is doing all the work. The delay between reality and perception is crucial. By the time your brain registers the light, the object has passed, the molecules have calmed, and the energy has already left. You are always seeing the past. The present is gone before it can reach you. This is why shooting stars feel fleeting, elusive, hypnotic. They are not soft. They are not gentle. They are reality moving too fast for you to follow. No object in the sky can slow down to show itself to human eyes. They do not want to perform. They cannot. What you see is only the result of the universe reacting to a moment too fast to feel. Light becomes a story we can witness, but we never see the destruction itself. We only see the trace, the evidence, the memory of violence made visible. Even the largest fragments cannot avoid this. They enter the air. The molecules react, energy spills out, and the light appears while the rock is already melting, exploding, or vaporizing. Everything that makes the streak possible happens faster than a heartbeat, and then it is gone. The object no longer exists in the form it had when it entered. All that remains is a trail of light and your memory of it. That is why every shooting star feels like it lasts longer than it does. Your brain stretches the moment to try to make sense of it. Your eyes follow the line across the sky, but the reality has already passed. The object has already died. The glow you see is the after effect. The delayed signal that reaches you is slower than the actual process. Time between what happens and what you perceive is stretched. It makes the fleeting flash feel magical, almost eternal, even though it is over in an instant. This is the secret of shooting stars. They appear to perform. They appear to exist for you, but everything about them is accidental, reactionary, and brief. The stone itself is gone while the sky still glows. The light belongs to nothing living. It is the air that flashes. It is the molecules that scream in invisible energy. And we call it beautiful, we call it magical, but it is simply physics at work. And that is why they are so hypnotic. Because we feel awe for a process that is far beyond our control or understanding. Because the object has no awareness, yet it leaves a trace for us. Because the light belongs to the sky, not the stone, and yet we give meaning to the moment. It is the perfect illusion, speed, destruction, and beauty all at once. Every shooting star is a tiny lesson in this delay. You see it, you feel wonder, you remember it, but the reality, the destruction, the transformation, the energy is already gone. You cannot experience it fully. You can only see what is left behind, and that is enough to make you pause, enough to make the night sky feel larger than you ever imagined. So, when you watch the next shooting star, remember this. The glow is not the visitor. It is the air itself. The light is the echo of destruction. The object is already dead while you admire it, and the brief streak you see is the trace left by the collision between speed and the invisible wall above. Time, light, motion, and energy combine to give you something beautiful, fleeting, and mysterious. But it is all delayed. The reality happens first. Perception follows later. And that is the hidden story behind every line that crosses the sky in a night. The sky does not lie. The light does not lie. What you feel does not lie. But the object is already gone. It has fulfilled its brief role. It has passed from existence in one form to another. The light belongs to the air, not the rock. And you are left with memory, awe, and the strange understanding that the universe is working faster than you can ever see. Every time you see a shooting star, you might think it is rare. You might think it is a special moment meant for you. But that is an illusion. Shooting stars are happening all the time, everywhere above the earth. They do not wait for nightfall or for someone to look. They fall constantly, millions of times every day. Most of them go completely unnoticed. You only see a fraction. Your eyes can only catch what is bright enough, what moves in the right direction, and what happens at night. Daylight hides most of it. Even at night, clouds, city lights, and your position on the planet block the majority. The universe is not slowing down to accommodate human vision. Reality continues regardless of what you can perceive. Some fragments fall silently over oceans, deserts, forests, or ice. They burn without leaving a trace. They pass through the atmosphere and vanish. No light, no streak, nothing for anyone to witness. And yet they are still happening. All around the globe, every moment, objects older than memory are entering the air and disappearing. The universe does not pause for us to notice. The numbers are staggering. Thousands of tiny fragments enter the atmosphere each hour. Most are too small to see. Many are too far away to create visible light. A very few make the bright streaks that we notice. And of those few, only some cross your sky at a moment when you are looking. Rarity exists only in perception. In reality, it is abundant, constant, unstoppable. Your vision is the limiting factor. You can see only a small slice of the sky. You can notice only flashes that last long enough and bright enough to reach your eyes. You cannot see the explosions of light during the day. You cannot see the pieces that burn silently over empty space. And you cannot see the fragments too small to create light. Yet they are there, falling without pause. This abundance is uncomfortable to imagine. Millions of pieces passing over the planet every day, most unnoticed, some passing right above your head while you sleep. Space is overflowing with objects that are crossing paths with Earth, and we only catch glimpses. We are blind to the majority. Our sense of rarity is built on a tiny fraction of what is happening. Even meteors that create spectacular displays are part of a larger flow. Meteor showers, for example, are just times when Earth crosses a dense trail of fragments. But even outside those periods, objects are entering the atmosphere constantly. The sky is never quiet. The universe never waits. It is always busy, even when we do not notice. Your mind wants rarity. Your mind wants meaning. A shooting star is perfect for wishes because it feels unique. But that uniqueness is only a perception. The stars are falling all the time. What you see is not magic. It is an unavoidable result of space, motion, and gravity. The universe is generous, overflowing, indifferent, and you catch only a glimpse. This constant occurrence also changes the way you should imagine the night sky. What seems empty is not empty at all. What seems calm is not calm. Objects are moving, colliding with the atmosphere, transforming into light, vapor, or dust. And they are doing it silently, continuously. The universe does not wait for observation. It does not wait for awe. It simply acts. Think about that next time a shooting star flashes above you. It is not rare. It is a moment when your vision happened to intersect with a process that is always occurring. The rarity is in your awareness, not in the sky. And that makes every visible streak even more remarkable, because it is a glimpse into a constant flow of motion, a secret that exists beyond our perception. Even large fragments that could create fireballs are just part of the abundance. The sky is constantly full of pieces too small to notice, too distant to see, yet they are all crossing Earth's path. Our perception is limited by light, distance, and attention, but reality is limitless. The universe overflows with fragments older than memory, traveling at speeds that our brains cannot comprehend, and interacting with our atmosphere in ways that create flashes of light we sometimes catch. The discomfort comes from realizing how much is unseen, how much happens above and around you that you cannot witness, how the universe is always moving, always active, always creating flashes of energy that never reach the ground or your eyes. Shooting stars are abundant. The night sky is full of them, and we live under a veil that hides most of this activity. Even in the quietest night, over the darkest landscape, objects are burning in the sky, releasing energy, leaving light that disappears before anyone notices. It is a constant flow of motion, destruction, and reaction. And yet we think it is rare, we think it is special, we think it is magic, but the truth is overwhelming. The universe never stops, it never slows down. It never cares if we notice. Every streak you see is a small part of something enormous. It is evidence of abundance. A tiny glimpse into a vast, continuous flow of fragments entering the atmosphere, and the mind struggles with it. It wants rarity. It wants uniqueness. But the universe is indifferent. What we perceive as magic is just the intersection of vision and chance in a universe overflowing with motion. The constant occurrence also makes the night sky feel different once you understand it. It is no longer empty. It is never quiet. The light you see is a tiny fragment of the activity above you. It is fleeting because it is only what your eyes can catch. And the rest, the millions of events that happen unseen, create a sense of vastness that is hard to hold in your mind. That is why shooting stars feel mysterious. They appear brief, fleeting, and rare. But that rarity is an illusion. They happen all the time. They cross paths with Earth constantly. They pass above oceans, deserts, mountains, and forests, and we rarely notice. What we see is only a fraction, a tiny window into an unstoppable flow of motion and energy. The abundance is hidden. It is invisible, and that makes it feel magical. But the magic is only in perception. The reality is overflowing. Space is crowded. Motion is constant. Collisions with the atmosphere happen continuously, and the flashes we notice are the lucky moments when our awareness meets the universe in motion. Even after one shooting star fades, dozens more may have passed unnoticed. The next night, the next hour, the next second, objects older than memory continue to fall, collide with the air, and vanish. Your vision is limited. Your memory is limited, but the universe is unlimited, and that is a strange, uncomfortable, and awe-inspiring thought. The universe never waits. It never hides intentionally. It never pauses for observation. Everything is happening constantly, silently, everywhere above us. And we only notice when conditions are perfect. The right darkness, the right position, the right chance. Reality overflows beyond our awareness. And it is always abundant, always moving, and always more than we can see. Every shooting star you see is only the visible tip of an invisible flow. And every time you notice one, it is a small intersection with the vast, continuous, unstoppable motion of the universe. The rarity you feel is only a limitation of your perception. The universe continues in secret abundance, whether you watch or sleep, whether you wonder or ignore. And that is the hidden truth. The sky is never empty. The night is never quiet. The universe is always active, always falling, always moving fragments across our path. What we see is just the smallest fraction, and that thought alone can make the night feel alive, immense, and slightly unsettling. Humans have always looked at shooting stars and felt something, something beyond understanding, something that seems like it must mean something. The streak across the sky is fast, bright, and gone in a moment. It is fleeting. It is sudden. And the mind wants to believe it is not random. The mind wants to assign purpose. That is why we make wishes. Wishes are a story we tell ourselves after the fact. The universe does not pause to let you hope. It does not slow down to hear your thoughts. The fragment in the sky is not aware of you, your desires, or your dreams. It is moving because of speed, gravity, and physics. It has no intention, no mind, no plan. The light you see is an accident of motion, yet we attach meaning to it. The act of wishing is human, not cosmic. We take randomness and fold it into our lives. We see a line of light and say it is special. We whisper a hope or a dream and pretend the universe will respond. But the object does not know. The atmosphere does not care. The energy released in the flash does not recognize intention. It is silent. And yet the mind creates a story around it. This is why shooting stars feel magical. It is not because they are magical themselves. It is because the human brain is designed to find patterns, to seek cause and effect, to assign meaning where none exists. The randomness of a fragment entering the atmosphere becomes a canvas for hope. The sudden light becomes a signal. The brief arc across the sky becomes a messenger. All of this is added after the fact, created in the mind of the observer. Consider how little time there is between seeing the light and making the wish. A fraction of a second. The object has already been destroyed. The light is already moving away from you. And yet, in that instant, your mind perceives intention. Your mind perceives permission. It creates a connection where none exists. The shooting star is silent, unaware, indifferent, and yet you feel it has answered your call. Randomness feels like opportunity. The streak across the sky is fast and fleeting, unpredictable, and humans cannot resist giving it meaning. We imagine that because it appeared for us, because it crossed the sky above us, it must be listening, watching, responding. But in reality, the universe is indifferent. The objects are countless, moving constantly, unaware of any individual beneath. There is no audience, only chance. Even the biggest, brightest meteor is no different. It does not perform for you. It does not pause for your gaze. It does not wait for you to notice or respond. And yet humans project intention onto it. We seek signs. We hope for answers. We whisper secrets into the night and assume a response. The universe gives none. There is only motion, energy, and reaction. The silence is part of the mystery. The sky offers no answer. The streak appears. You wish. And then it is gone. There is no feedback, no echo, no reply. And that is unsettling. That is why shooting stars hold power in the human mind. They are beautiful. They are fleeting. They are unreachable. They offer the illusion of interaction without ever delivering it. Humans add meaning too late. The event has already happened. The object has already been destroyed. The light has already traveled. And only after all this the mind interprets. The brain assigns significance, finds patterns, and imagines intention. Reality is complete before perception arrives. And that gap, the space between what happens and what we believe, is where magic is born. That is why shooting stars are so powerful in stories, myths, and personal rituals. They are not powerful because they have intention. They are powerful because humans project intention onto them. We seek patterns in randomness. We look for answers in moments that have none. And that act of interpretation creates wonder, awe, and mystery. Even the wish itself is a product of timing. If you looked too early, too late, or in a different direction, you would have missed it entirely. The event does not wait. It does not repeat for you. Your mind catches a tiny sliver of what is happening and immediately begins to weave a story. And because the event is gone almost as quickly as it appears, the story feels urgent, important, and personal. We attach our hopes to an indifferent universe. We see a streak of light and believe it is listening, but the truth is stark. The universe does not care. The fragments do not care, and the atmosphere is unaware. All of it happens without thought. And yet, the human mind interprets, adds significance, and imagines a response that will never come. The gap between reality and perception is the key. The moment the fragment hits the air, it begins to transform, to disappear, to release energy. By the time your eyes register the streak, the process is already complete. And then your mind steps in, creating meaning, finding intention, assigning purpose. The shooting star has long been gone, but in your mind it lives on as a messenger, a wish granter, a silent companion. This is why silence follows every shooting star. You wish, you hope, you whisper, and nothing responds. The universe continues without acknowledgement. The object is gone, energy dissipates, light fades, and all that remains is memory and the mind's interpretation. And that silence, that absence of response, is exactly what makes shooting stars so haunting, so mysterious, and so compelling. Even in scientific terms, the story is the same. The objects move according to physics. They react to air. They release light and energy, and humans interpret it. No law of motion pauses for a wish. No atom glows because you hoped. Everything happens independently of intention. And yet, we insist on assigning meaning, because humans are wired to do so. Every shooting star is a reminder of the universe's indifference. It is a reminder that events happen without notice. That reality exists beyond awareness. That beauty, danger, and motion are not created for us. And yet, our minds take the raw material of existence and shape it into stories, desires, and expectations. The line across the sky is transformed from matter and energy into magic, solely in the mind of the observer. And that is why the next time you see a shooting star, you should feel the strangeness of it. It is not performing. It is not granting wishes. It is not conscious. It is a fragment moving fast, meeting air, releasing light and disappearing. And only afterward do we invent the story, imagine intention, and hope for a response that will never come. The silence after the streak is the true reality. That is when the universe speaks, not with words but with absence. That is when you realize that meaning is not given. It is created, stitched together after the fact, from randomness and fleeting light. And in that silence you understand the mystery. The universe does not wait, it does not answer, and yet it leaves space for human imagination to fill the void. It is beautiful, it is haunting, it is fleeting, and it is entirely indifferent. That is the secret power of shooting stars. Far beyond our planet, in the frozen outskirts of the solar system, ancient collisions happen that we will never see. Comets smash into other comets. Asteroids hit one another. Fragments break off and scatter into space. These are events older than human memory, older than civilizations, older than life itself. And somehow, Earth catches the echoes of this old chaos. The pieces of these ancient collisions continue their journey for millions of years. They move silently, cold and indifferent until they meet our atmosphere. Some are tiny, no bigger than grains of sand. Others are larger, a few meters across. They carry with them the history of destruction. Each fragment is a relic of violence from distant times and distant places. It traveled across space without awareness, without intention, simply because the laws of motion do not stop. When we see a shooting star, we are seeing something that broke apart billions of kilometers away. Something that existed long before humans named the planets or walked on Earth. The fragments move in predictable paths, but their origins are random and violent. The comet or asteroid that produced them was destroyed by impact, and now we are witness to the quiet aftermath of that destruction. It is strange to think that what we call a shooting star is really just debris. Bits of ancient rock and metal that survived collisions, that traveled across the emptiness of space, and that are now passing through our sky. The violence that created them is far away in time and distance, yet when they appear above us it feels immediate, it feels close, it feels personal, and that is part of the mystery. Distance collapses when we watch. A fragment that was once billions of kilometers away is now visible, streaking across the sky. The vastness of space shrinks to a single line of light. What took millions of years to travel appears in a second. Our perception cannot measure the journey, cannot feel the scale, and yet we see the result. A tiny fragment crossing our vision, a momentary reminder of ancient chaos. The object carries all the history of its past collisions. It is scarred, chipped, and broken. Its surface is irregular. Its path is determined by forces that do not care about our eyes. And when it meets our atmosphere, all that history is compressed into a brief flash. The collision it survived millions of years ago is invisible to us. The destruction it undergoes now is hidden by speed and distance, and the light we see is only the aftermath. These fragments are survivors. They have endured violence in space. They have avoided destruction for countless years. They have traveled across the solar system, unnoticed, alone, silent. And for a moment they enter our sky, revealing their presence in a flash of light. That light is a testament to their journey, to the chaos they have survived, and to the hidden forces of the universe that guide them. It is easy to imagine that the universe is calm, that space is empty. But the truth is violent. Collisions happen constantly, and what we see as shooting stars are only the fragments that escape those events. The rest remain in space, invisible and unnoticed. The sky above us is filled with echoes of destruction, waiting for the rare moment when one of these fragments intersects with Earth. Even the smallest pieces carry energy from their violent past. They move fast, and they meet our atmosphere with force. The streak of light we see is a combination of the fragment's motion and the sky's reaction. It is a reminder that ancient events can reach across time and space to touch our world. That something that happened long before humans existed can still leave a mark, however brief, in the present. Watching a shooting star is like catching a glimpse of history in motion. It is a moment when the past intersects with the present. The fragment that burns in our sky is a messenger from a time we cannot imagine. Its journey is long, its origins violent, and yet its appearance is fleeting. One second it is streaking across the night. The next, it is gone, and we are left to wonder about the journey it has taken. The distance it traveled feels impossible. From the far reaches of the solar system, past planets, past the sun's warmth, through near vacuum, and finally into our atmosphere. Time and space collapse into the streak of light we see. Millions of years of travel, billions of kilometers of motion, all reduced to a few seconds in our sky. The mind struggles to comprehend it, and that struggle is part of the hypnotic allure. Every shooting star is a fragment of ancient chaos made visible. It is debris from collisions that happened in the coldest, quietest parts of the solar system. It survived impacts, survived millions of years of isolation, survived emptiness. And now it meets our sky, burns briefly and disappears. It is both a survivor and a victim, both a relic and a momentary flash of light. It is also a reminder that what seems close is often far away, and what seems fleeting is the result of immense journeys. We perceive immediacy. We see the streak and feel that it belongs to the night above us. But in reality, it has traveled across the universe, carrying the memory of ancient violence, and only appears now because Earth happened to intersect its path. Even after the fragment vanishes, its story lingers. It reminds us that destruction is continuous, that time is vast, and that space is filled with history. The sky is a library of collisions, holding the evidence of ancient chaos in countless fragments. And each shooting star is a single page from that book, revealed for a moment and then gone, leaving only light and memory behind. It is strange to realize that the beauty we witness is born from destruction, that the flash of light, the streak across the sky, is the product of ancient violence, that what seems magical is really matter meeting air, history meeting the present, and distance collapsing into a few seconds. And yet we are mesmerized, we are drawn in, we cannot look away. The next time a shooting star passes, think of the journey it has taken. Think of the collisions it survived, the chaos it emerged from, and the billions of years it traveled to reach your sky. What seems close is not. What seems fleeting is not. And what seems magical is only the visible result of distant violence, brought briefly into your awareness. Every streak across the night is a connection between Earth and the far reaches of the solar system. Every flash is a reminder that the past is always present, that distance can collapse in a moment, and that ancient chaos still reaches us in subtle, hypnotic ways. The universe is not calm. It is violent, busy, and relentless. And yet we catch these small glimpses, and in that moment it feels like magic. The fragments are countless, traveling silently. Most are too small to see. Some will never meet our atmosphere. But occasionally one does, and we see it. A moment of connection between the ancient past and the present, between chaos and perception, between destruction and beauty. And that is the true wonder of shooting stars. The distant violence of the universe revealed in a fleeting streak of light, collapsing space and time into a second. Most shooting stars never touch the ground. They burn up completely in the atmosphere. Their journey ends in light, in heat, in nothing more than a fleeting streak across the sky. But sometimes, very rarely, a fragment survives. It passes through the dense layers of air, loses most of its mass, and lands on Earth. These survivors are called meteorites, and they are nothing like what we imagine when we see a shooting star. When a meteorite lands, there is no glow. There is no drama. The brilliant flash we saw as it crossed the night sky is gone. The energy that lit up the darkness is spent. All that remains is a small rock. It may be blackened, charred, and irregularly shaped. It may weigh a few grams or several kilograms. And yet, it carries the memory of its cosmic journey. The weight of a meteorite is ordinary. It feels solid, heavy, familiar in your hand. But that weight is deceiving. This rock was once part of something larger. It traveled at unimaginable speed. It survived collisions in space. It endured conditions that no living thing could survive. And now, in your palm, it feels like any other stone you could pick up from the ground. That is the strange part. Cosmic history reduced to something mundane. When you hold a meteorite, it is hard to imagine its journey. It was once a fragment of ancient chaos, moving across the solar system for millions of years. It collided with nothing for vast distances. It encountered Earth's atmosphere at incredible velocity. It was transformed by pressure, heat, and friction. And finally, it lands silently, without light, without motion, without spectacle. The journey that seemed magical in the sky has ended in quiet wait. The moment of awe we feel watching a shooting star disappears. There is no streak of light, no bright arc, no reminder of speed and destruction. There is only a rock that once moved faster than anything we could feel, a rock that survived more than we can imagine. But it does not shine, it does not move, it does not draw our eyes. It sits quietly, a relic of something far larger than itself. The cosmic origin is invisible in the stone. To a human eye, it looks ordinary. Blackened, pitted, sometimes metallic, sometimes stony. Its texture may be rough or smooth. It may have a strange density. But nothing about it screams, "I came from space." The star that we admired, that streaked across the sky, is long gone. Only this quiet fragment remains. There is also disappointment in holding a meteorite. You expect it to be extraordinary. You expect to feel the magic of the night sky in your hand. But the rock is heavy and silent. It has no light. It has no motion. It does not burn. And yet that is the paradox. The ordinary object is the result of something extraordinary. It survived conditions and speeds that humans cannot perceive. It is evidence of ancient collisions, of cosmic motion, of energy released in the atmosphere. Even the rare meteorites that land are small compared to the objects we see in the sky. The fragments that survive are the tiniest pieces of something much larger, most of which has been destroyed in the atmosphere. What we catch on Earth is only the remnant, stripped of its spectacle, reduced to quiet matter. And that is the strange reality. The brilliance was lost before it reached us. The magic exists in the process, not in the object itself. For scientists, the value is in information. The rock may reveal the composition of distant asteroids or comets. It may contain minerals that formed billions of years ago, before Earth existed. It is a message from space, a relic of ancient processes. But for a casual observer, the awe of seeing a shooting star is not replicated in the stone. The story is invisible, hidden inside the ordinary weight in your hand. Even when a meteorite is part of a larger fall, the experience on the ground is subdued. There is no light show. There is no dramatic arc. There is no trace of the speed and destruction that made it visible from afar. The energy that illuminated the sky is gone. All that remains is history compressed into mass, density, and form. And that makes the experience quieter than expected, even if the science is remarkable. The moment you pick up a meteorite, you are holding a fragment of the universe. But you are also holding a reminder that reality often fails to match expectation. What dazzles from afar becomes ordinary up close. The explosion of light and energy is lost. The excitement of motion is gone. And yet the rock exists. Its existence is proof of forces and events beyond imagination. That is the irony. Shooting stars are mesmerizing when seen, fleeting streaks of light that hint at speed, destruction, and cosmic history. But when they reach the ground, the reality is quieter. You cannot see the journey in the stone. You cannot feel the speed. You cannot witness the collisions or the heat. You only have weight and texture, subtle evidence of something extraordinary that has been reduced to the ordinary. It is also humbling. The rock in your hand is only a small fraction of what was once moving through space. Most of the fragment was lost in the atmosphere, transformed into heat and light, leaving no trace. What remains is tiny, and yet it represents a journey and a history far beyond human experience. It is quiet power disguised as something mundane. Even the largest meteorites that land do not compare to the spectacle of a shooting star. The objects that produce brilliant arcs in the sky often never survive to the ground. The energy is spent, the fragments are destroyed, and all we catch is a small, blackened rock. The magic is fleeting. The glow disappears, and the awe is replaced by quiet reflection. And yet, the disappointment does not erase fascination. There is still wonder in holding something that came from space. There is still mystery in its origin. There is still the knowledge that you are touching a fragment of ancient chaos, a survivor of violent collisions, and a relic of cosmic motion. But it is subtle. It is silent. It is far removed from the thrill of watching a bright line streak across the night sky. The rare survivors are humbling because they remind us of scale and distance. The universe is vast. Space is violent. Time is incomprehensible. And yet a fragment small enough to land quietly on Earth has traveled through it all. The spectacle belongs to the sky. The stone is a whisper of history. It is matter reduced, energy spent, and magic hidden in the ordinary. So the next time you see a shooting star, remember this. The light, the brilliance, the speed is part of a fleeting experience. What reaches the ground is quiet, heavy, and ordinary in appearance. But it carries with it a story of motion, destruction, and survival that is extraordinary. The awe may shift from spectacle to subtlety. The excitement may fade, but the mystery remains, hidden in the weight of a stone. And that is the truth of meteorites. Rare survivors of events we barely perceive, reduced to form, stripped of glow, carrying cosmic history in silence. They are humbling, quiet, and strangely beautiful, not for the light they give, but for the story they carry. The universe continues around them, indifferent and vast, leaving only the remnants for us to hold and imagine. Even when the night feels still, Earth is moving. You might feel stationary, sitting under the sky, watching stars streak across the darkness. But the planet beneath your feet is traveling through space at incredible speed. It sweeps along its orbit, spinning silently, carrying everything on it without effort. The stillness you feel is an illusion. We are moving constantly, even if we do not notice. The air moves with us. The ground moves with us. And the sky moves relative to us, creating patterns we can observe. Shooting stars streak across the sky, but so does Earth. silently moving through the same space. Every moment you watch a meteor is also a moment you are traveling through countless kilometers of emptiness without feeling it. The universe feels calm because we perceive it from the perspective of Earth. But that calmness is deceptive. Our planet moves through space, taking us along at nearly 30 kilometers per second around the sun. That is more than 100,000 kilometers every hour, and we feel none of it. We walk, we sleep, we watch, unaware that the entire world is moving through the void. Shooting stars are not simply falling into a quiet sky. They meet a moving Earth. The streaks of light we see are the result of interactions between fragments moving through space and the atmosphere moving with the planet. The flashes are not just a result of the fragment's motion. They are a product of Earth's motion as well. Every visible meteor is evidence of both objects in motion. The sky itself becomes a stage for these collisions. Comets, asteroids, and fragments are crossing paths with Earth constantly. Their paths are defined by gravity and momentum. Our planet is sweeping through countless fragments as it travels. Many pass unnoticed, while a few create brilliant streaks of light. Every shooting star is a moment when your moving planet intersects with the path of ancient debris. Even when nothing seems to happen, Earth is moving. Mountains, oceans, deserts, all of it glides silently through space. You are moving without sensation, carried by the motion of a planet spinning and orbiting. The stars above may seem fixed, but they are moving relative to you too. Nothing is stationary. Everything is motion, energy, and constant interaction. The sensation of stillness is comforting. It hides the scale of motion. We feel as though the night is calm, as though the sky above us is solid and distant. But in reality, you are on a planet slicing through space, surrounded by fragments, moving at unimaginable speed. Shooting stars remind us of this motion. They flash because they meet the atmosphere that moves with Earth. Without our planet's motion, they would appear differently, perhaps not at all. Motion is unavoidable. Every meteor we see is a small reminder that we are moving through a universe filled with debris. Every streak of light is evidence of both the object's speed and our own. We are participants in this cosmic dance whether we understand it or not. The sky may appear static, but it is active, shifting, and full of interaction. Even the calmest night hides this truth. You sit quietly watching the sky, and yet you are moving with every rotation of Earth. The planet carries you along its orbit, spinning, sweeping through space. That movement is constant, unstoppable, and silent. And every object that enters the atmosphere interacts with that motion, creating moments of light that draw our eyes. Understanding this changes how we see shooting stars. They are not just objects falling from above. They are fragments meeting a moving world. They are evidence of motion, speed, and interaction on scales we cannot feel. They are reminders that the calm we perceive is deceptive. Motion is the natural state. Stillness is the illusion, and every flash of light marks a collision in a moving universe. Even when the streak fades, the motion continues. The planet carries on through space, and countless fragments pass near or through its path. We continue to move with it unaware. The universe does not pause. It does not wait. Every second, every fragment, every atom is in motion. And every visible shooting star is a rare intersection of paths in that continuous movement. The stars themselves appear fixed, but they are not. Their light reaches us after traveling vast distances, while Earth moves beneath them. The meteor streaks are a visible reminder of this relative motion. They reveal the interaction between a moving planet and traveling debris, collapsing distance and time into a fleeting line of light. The spectacle in the sky is a product of speed, both yours and the object's. No human senses the motion directly. We feel gravity, temperature, wind, and sound, but we cannot feel the speed of Earth through the solar system. And yet our experience of shooting stars is shaped by it. The flashes are brighter, faster, and shaped by the fact that we are moving into their path. Without Earth's motion, the night sky would feel very different. Every streak is a reminder that motion is unavoidable. Even when everything seems still, nothing is at rest. Our planet sweeps along, we move with it, and fragments from ancient collisions encounter us in brief flashes of light. The universe is a constant flow, and shooting stars are evidence of that flow intersecting with our path. The knowledge changes the way the night sky feels. Stillness becomes illusion. Calmness is temporary. Motion is everywhere, moving silently beneath our perception. Shooting stars are not just fleeting moments of beauty. They are evidence that we are participants in a moving universe, carried along paths we cannot sense but that shape every moment we observe. Every object that burns in the sky is meeting a moving target. Every fragment that produces light is interacting with a planet racing through space, and every observer is moving with it, unaware, silent, carried along the orbit of Earth. The flashes are brief, the streaks fleeting, but the motion is eternal and unstoppable. This understanding makes watching shooting stars more than mesmerizing. It makes it humbling. It reminds you that you are never still. You are part of a planet moving through fire, sweeping space, colliding with fragments from the distant past. Every streak of light is a marker of motion, a reminder that stillness is only perception, and that speed and interaction are everywhere. Even after the streak disappears, Earth continues. The fragments that did not burn pass by. The planet keeps moving, and we, sitting quietly, are swept along without noticing. Motion is unavoidable. Speed is constant. And every shooting star is a fleeting signal of the paths that cross our moving world. The universe is not static. The night sky is not calm. And every moment we perceive stillness is an illusion. Shooting stars reveal that truth. They are traces of interaction in a moving cosmos, proof that motion is constant, unstoppable, and everywhere. And every time you look up, you are witnessing a tiny part of that eternal flow, carried along silently by a planet racing through space. Every shooting star is a story that took millions of years to unfold. The fragment you see streak across the sky did not appear suddenly. It has traveled across space for eons. It has survived collisions, survived the cold of the outer solar system, survived isolation in darkness. And then, in a single instant, it burns in the atmosphere and vanishes. Time collapses into light. The journey is immense. What took millions of years, billions of kilometers, is visible for a few seconds at most. The light travels across the sky, and your brain tries to make sense of it. But your mind is not equipped to hold such scale. 1 second of motion contains the history of a fragment older than Earth. One flash is the culmination of forces and collisions that your brain cannot fully comprehend. The streak is brief, but it carries compressed time. The collisions that created it, the formation of the parent asteroid, the ejection of fragments, the movement through space, each of these steps spans time far beyond human experience. And yet your eyes catch only a line, a flash, a momentary spark. History is revealed and erased in an instant. Watching a shooting star is hypnotic because of this compression. The brain notices the light, the motion, the flash. But behind it lies a timeline of unimaginable length. The fragment might have been traveling for millions of years, crossing vast emptiness, and avoiding destruction at every turn. Then it meets Earth's atmosphere, and all that history collapses into a fraction of a second. This makes time feel thin. You watch a streak and sense something immense, even if you cannot name it. The scale is impossible to grasp. The fragments past and the present moment overlap. The collision with air, the release of energy, and the flash of light happen in seconds, but they carry the weight of eons. Your mind struggles to hold both perspectives at once. Each flash is a reminder that time is not always linear, at least in perception. What seems immediate is the product of long processes. What seems brief contains the collapse of history. The atmosphere burns the fragment in moments, but the fragment itself traveled for millions of years before that. One instant contains the end of a vast journey. One moment holds the story of space and time. Even the brightest meteor is only a fragment of time compressed. The light you see is the final evidence of movement, collisions, and energy release. The streak disappears, but the timeline behind it remains. Your mind cannot measure it. Your senses cannot grasp it. All that remains is perception, an instant of beauty, a hint of motion, and the fleeting sense that something enormous has just passed. Time feels unstable when you realize this. One moment, the sky is calm. The next, a streak appears, connecting distant history to your eyes. The universe shows both speed and scale in a way that humans cannot hold for long. The mind experiences the flash, but the timeline it represents is beyond understanding. That tension creates a mysterious feeling, a slight unease that keeps us staring. The compression of time also hides most of the story. The fragment's collisions, its travels, the forces it encountered, these events are invisible. All you see is the effect, light. History becomes ephemeral, revealing itself in flashes. And yet, that flash is enough to hint at the vastness behind it. One instant, one streak, one light, and suddenly the universe feels older and stranger than you thought. The fleeting nature of the light makes the timeline even more hypnotic. You try to follow it, but it disappears before you can process it. Your mind attempts to hold the instant to understand the motion, but it cannot. And in that gap, time feels thin, stretched, unstable. The present overlaps with the past, the immediate overlaps with the ancient, and the brain senses the weight of something immense beyond comprehension. Even multiple shooting stars in one night are only brief glimpses. Each streak is a different fragment, a different timeline, millions of years compressed into moments. And while your eyes can catch several flashes, they cannot hold the scale. Your brain experiences them sequentially, but the universe produces them simultaneously and continuously. The sensation is one of fleeting understanding, always just beyond grasp. The phenomenon also changes your perception of time itself. Watching the streak, you sense the speed, you sense the scale, and you realize that your human experience of minutes, hours, and days is small compared to the movements of fragments, planets, and stars. A fraction of a second of light contains eons, and that realization is both awe-inspiring and unsettling. The compressed timeline is evident in meteor showers. Multiple fragments cross the sky in quick succession, each with its own history. The pattern is mesmerizing, hypnotic, and slightly overwhelming. Your mind notices repetition and rhythm, but the scale of each fragment's journey is invisible. What seems like a single event is really a procession of millions of years ending in seconds. Even when the streaks are faint, the effect is the same. The faintest glimmer carries the same compression of time, the same history hidden behind a brief flash. Brightness does not correlate with age or journey. Even tiny fragments reveal the immense timeline, reminding us that perception is only a small window into reality. Each light streak is a fleeting keyhole into the universe's past. The brain struggles to reconcile the instant with the history. One moment, the fragment exists in space. The next, it is burning in the atmosphere, and all the time it was traveling for millions of years is invisible. The collapse of time makes the instant feel strange, haunting, and hypnotic. Watching a shooting star is not just seeing light. It is feeling the compression of eons into a few seconds. That compression also hides most of the story. The flash ends and the fragment is gone. The brain wants continuity, wants to see the journey, wants to hold the scale, but it cannot. All that remains is memory, perception, and the sense of something immense. The rest is invisible, hidden in the invisible collapse of time and distance. Time becomes unstable in perception because it is stretched across scales humans cannot sense. The eons of travel, the collisions survived, the speed of approach, and the final burn all occur in ways that our senses cannot track. 1 second of observation contains history, physics, and energy that the mind can barely comprehend. It is fleeting, mysterious, and hypnotic. Every streak across the sky is a reminder that history can end instantly. Every flash is proof that time can collapse, that a journey of millions of years can appear as a single moment. That is why shooting stars feel hypnotic and mysterious. They are not just light. They are eons, collisions, and travel compressed into a line across the night sky. And when the streak fades, the sense of instability remains. Time feels thin. History feels compressed. The mind realizes that it cannot hold the scale, that the moment hides something vast, and that the universe is far older, faster, and stranger than perception allows. That is the hypnotic, haunting power of shooting stars. A flash of light that contains more time than we can imagine, disappearing before we can fully comprehend it. At last, the story of shooting stars comes to a close. All the mysteries, all the flashes, all the whispers of motion through the night sky have been seen, imagined, and understood in the way human minds can grasp. The fragments will continue to fall, the comets will continue their journeys, and the universe will carry on with its silent chaos. But this story, this moment of attention, curiosity, and wonder, has reached its end. It is strange to think that we have been following light and fragments that traveled millions of years just to meet our eyes. We have seen speed, destruction, beauty, and silence compressed into brief moments. We have imagined intentions, calculated distances, and traced timelines invisible to our senses. And now, despite everything continuing beyond us, we stop here. Your focus ends. The night goes on, the universe goes on, but you close this chapter of thought. Shooting stars do not wait for conclusions. They do not pause for comprehension. They streak across the sky whether someone watches or not. They burn, they fade, they vanish. They continue their path through time and space, oblivious to observation. And yet, for a moment, you were there. You watched, you considered. You connected with ancient fragments, with collisions, with the motion of Earth itself. That attention, though fleeting, is finite. There is a strange comfort in finality. The universe is endless and chaotic. Shooting stars will continue falling. Fragments will continue traveling, and history will continue in a silent, relentless way. But this story, this exploration, this experience, your journey through the mystery of shooting stars, is complete. There is no cliffhanger, there is no loose thread. You have reached the end. Even as events continue, the story closes. The idea of infinity exists beyond perception. The collisions in space, the speed of fragments, the faint light of distant objects, all continue in motion. They do not need you to watch, to understand, or to assign meaning. And yet, by observing, by following these flashes of light and pondering their journey, you have created a temporary connection. That connection now concludes. The finality is quiet. There is no dramatic flair, no lingering mystery that demands attention. The universe remains indifferent, vast, and ongoing. Shooting stars will still appear tonight, tomorrow, and for millions of years to come. The fragments will still meet the atmosphere, will still burn, will still vanish. But your role, your attention, your story in this exploration is finished. The ending is yours to accept. This is the paradox of closure. Events never truly stop. Motion never ends. Time keeps moving. And yet the The narrative we follow in our minds can have an ending. You can observe, understand, and then let go. The shooting stars continue, but your focus does not. You allow the universe to proceed without expectation or involvement. That is the quiet, mysterious power of ending. Finality does not mean the loss of mystery. On the contrary, knowing that the universe continues beyond attention deepens it. There is comfort in recognizing that life, motion, and cosmic chaos are larger than comprehension. You have seen only a fragment of what exists. You have traced only a single path among countless others. But your story, your observation, your focus, this ends now. Accepting the end is part of the experience. It mirrors the ephemeral nature of shooting stars themselves. A streak of light appears, captures attention, carries history, and fades. Nothing lingers beyond what can be seen or perceived. And then it is gone. Likewise, this narrative, this journey through the science, motion, and mystery of shooting stars has reached its conclusion. There is no continuation required. This ending is also reflective. By acknowledging closure, you recognize your place in the vast universe. You realize that observation is temporary, attention is fleeting, and comprehension is limited. The stars continue, the fragments continue, the motions continue. But you pause. You close your thoughts on this sequence. And that pause, that conscious acceptance of an ending, becomes part of the experience. Shooting stars will still carry the memory of ancient collisions, still trace arcs across the sky, still compress millions of years into fleeting moments of light. They do this without pause, without awareness, without need for attention. They are independent of observation. And now, by stepping back, by letting the story end, you recognize the true scale of their existence. They are ongoing. You are concluded. There is also a sense of relief in finality. All the questions posed, all the mysteries explored, all the glimpses of motion, speed, and cosmic history have been presented. The mind can rest. The imagination can pause. The hypnotic wonder of shooting stars has served its purpose. The lights in the sky will continue to streak, but your journey through their story has ended with clarity and acceptance. Even the fleeting nature of shooting stars mirrors the ending of this story. The instant appears, captivates, and vanishes. Nothing continues beyond perception for the observer. What is left is memory, understanding, and the quiet realization that some things continue whether or not attention remains. Closure does not stop events. It stops focus. It stops narrative. And that is enough. The beauty of this ending is subtle. It is not dramatic. It is not forceful. It is gentle and final. It does not promise continuation. It does not hint at secrets yet revealed. It does not extend curiosity beyond this point. The shooting stars will still fall. Comets will still release fragments. Earth will continue moving through space. But this story, this exploration, this journey into the mystery of motion, time, and light is complete. Finality allows reflection. You can look back on what has been explored. The lie in the name of stars, the ancient fragments from collisions, the unimaginable speed, the role of Earth, the compression of time, and the ephemeral beauty of light. All these mysteries have been considered, revealed, and experienced. And now, with acceptance, the story ends. There is no obligation to continue. The universe goes on and you pause complete. The ending also emphasizes the contrast between permanence and impermanence. The universe continues endlessly. Events do not stop. Time does not pause. Fragments continue their motion. Collisions continue to happen, and shooting stars will keep appearing. And yet human attention is finite. Stories can conclude. Moments of focus can end. That is the final lesson. You can observe, learn, and then let go. Closure provides peace. You do not need to chase every streak, every fragment, every collision. The universe operates on its own scale. independent of observation or interpretation. The ending allows the mind to rest, to acknowledge the infinite processes that continue beyond perception. You have watched, considered, and now you release. Shooting stars are still falling. Fragments from distant collisions still reach Earth's atmosphere. Time is still compressing into flashes of light. And yet, the story for you concludes. There is no continuation required. There is no loose thread. There is no mystery left unresolved in this moment. You have reached the ending, fully aware, fully present, and fully accepting. Acceptance is part of the conclusion. You recognize that even as the universe continues without pause, your role in this story is complete. You observed, imagined, and understood. The events around you go on, but your narrative stops here. That is the rare kind of ending where curiosity, mystery, and knowledge meet finality. And so, the shooting stars will continue. The fragments will continue their journeys. Earth will sweep through space. Collisions will continue to echo across time. The universe will remain vast, mysterious, and indifferent. But your attention, your story, your experience of this exploration has reached its final moment. It is done. You can let it go, knowing the lights above will always keep moving, even after the story ends. This ending is complete. It is quiet, final, and undeniable. It does not linger. It does not return. It does not continue. The shooting stars will keep falling, the universe will keep moving, but here now the story stops. And in that stop, there is peace, acceptance, and a final understanding of the mystery that has passed before your eyes.